Hey, Nathan, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey guys. So I thought it was interesting that Dave called because the issue I wanted to raise is kind of related to that. This idea of like how you view yourself versus viewing others. And Stephanie, I know you've talked about this a lot. This people who kind of sublimate their own needs to the desires of others.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a problem that everybody has sometimes, like kind of putting others ahead of themselves,
Yeah,
doing this self sacrificial thing.
it's easy to
So
do.
Right. So the specific topic I wanted to talk about was the Fields Medal in mathematics, and it's kind of like the Nobel Prize of math. And
Hmm.
so the same things that I'm going to say apply to the Nobel Prize too. It was a woman just won it for the first time this year,
I
by the
heard
way,
about that. Yeah.
an Iranian named Maryam Mirzakhani. What a lot of people don't know, though, is that there was a Russian man named Perelman who, like 8 years ago, also won the Fields Medal, and he declined it because quote, I'm not interested in money or fame. I don't want to be on display like an animal in a zoo, unquote.
Wow. That
And
sounds like something a reclusive math genius might say.
yeah.
Yeah, I,
Well,
I got to totally respect it, but I would run right in there and take that medal. Here, let me get it for you, pal.
okay. So I was curious.
Okay.
Okay, well, he also declined $1 million. I'm sure Mark wouldn't turn that down.
Well, at the very least, if you're going to take the $1 million, give it to something that's worth giving it to. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, if you don't want it for yourself, sure, you could give it to someone else that might use it.
Now, maybe the best people is the organization that hands out this medal to have it, in which case leaving it with them is a fine thing to do.
So what intrigues me about this, and I'll admit maybe he's just a reclusive genius or whatever, but it does seem like there's this culture in academia, in science, and whatever that like prestige is all, and if you can get more reputation by doing this, then your career will do better, and it's like I read the words of one Nobel Prize winner. He was saying it's like a magical change. The day before I was just Professor so and so going to work. Today I'm a celebrity, or like today everyone
Hmm.
is eager to meet me. And
Yeah.
um, I don't know. It just I wonder, is that your experience, Stephanie, in what you saw when you were in school? Did there seem to be this
Yeah.
focus on reputation and prestige above all else to some extent?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's spot on, Nathan. Like totally. There's a lot, even in the world of science. I guess you could even say maybe it's worse in science because, like, potentially people's lives are on the line if they're creating cures for stuff. But yeah, everybody wanted to be a rock star scientist because when you're a rock star, not only do you get fame, which a lot of scientists want, they want maybe not fame, but at least like acknowledgement. Like they
Yeah.
want people to know who they are and appreciate their work and recognize that they made a contribution to the world. And who doesn't want that to some extent? But some people really get a lot of that recognition, and then they kind of play on it. They do PR. They put out press releases. They do a certain amount of like putting out a website and putting out a public face to the world. And you could make the argument that they get more recognition and more publicity for their research because of that, and they get more grant money from the government, perhaps. That's always been one of my biggest critiques is that the government funds pretty much all academic research. And even with private companies, so-called, they're often getting government grants to do certain types of research. And often the incentives become just to get more grants, not necessarily to do useful research, but just to keep on getting these grants and like perpetuating your existence. But there's also this culture in academia of like humbleness is a virtue, like you want the fame and you want the recognition, or most scientists do want the fame and the recognition, but you're not really supposed to acknowledge that. You're supposed to pretend like you're so humble and you're giving other people all this credit, but really you're enjoying the fame like very secretly if you get recognition for your stuff. That's kind of how it is, and everybody kind of just passes around these accolades in a circle. Everybody's acknowledging other
Yep.
people.
That's
and,
what success is,
Yeah.
right? Like success is being acknowledged for what you do, and for a lot of people. And I get it. I love going to Liberty Forum and PorcFest because essentially that's what it's like for me there. I get a little small level of success without people following me around and bothering me. I don't get any of that, and that's awesome, right? Like, this is exactly the way you want to have it, is, hey, Mark, hey, how you doing? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
not like you're
really
walking
nice.
down the street with people crowding around you asking for your autograph.
Right. I mean, that's like the Beatles or whatever it was like for those guys, or maybe Justin Bieber's might be a good example today. They can't walk down the street without being mobbed. Obviously, nothing like that for me, thank goodness.
I blame Plato, and thus I blame Western civilization for the whole damn thing. And I find it interesting that a Russian is the one that actually bucked the whole trend because he would be from the East. So I think there is this obsession with, being recognized as a philosopher king. I think that, and that's what the entire academic structure is pretty much based on Francis Bacon's New Atlantis, and that is entirely based upon Neoplatonism, and all of this stuff, all of it. All this lifestyle obsession that everybody goes crazy about comes from that. And whether it's right or wrong, that's something people need to be willing to explore. But nobody in this country, and certainly most of the world, wants to question Western civilization for 2 seconds, unfortunately, except for a mathematician that happened to walk away.
It's interesting because I guess years ago, maybe like pre-1990s, libertarianism or the liberty movement was a lot more academic. Because like people like Murray Rothbard and Hans Hermann Hoppe or whatever, they all became professors because that was how you spread ideas at the time before the internet. Like Murray Rothbard was a professor, and he thought that was the way that he could basically reach the most people. But of course, now that's changed. And, I'm sure it must have been interesting for, like, what must it have been like to be Murray Rothbard and to be, like, the only person who had these radical ideas in your department, and everybody else probably refused to eat lunch with him. I mean,
well,
I'm sure
supposedly his advisor kept his PhD on hold for 8 years, and he only got it because the guy had snuck off somewhere and jumped in and got it defended and passed.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that for a minute. It's scary to be an outlier, even though you're supposed to have this protection of tenure or whatever within the academic setting. It's supposed to be something that encourages academic freedom, right, where you can be free to explore radical ideas without threat of retaliation. But actually, it ends up like creating a lot of conformity, the whole tenure system, because everybody's trying and scrambling to get it and has to kind of fall in line before that.
Sure,
point.
the right answer is the answer that your professor wants you to give, right?
Yeah.
What else? What would the other answer possibly be?
But now, these days, the libertarian movement, I guess, has become way less academic, I would say. Like, there are still the academics out there, but they're a little older generally. And a lot of celebritarians, for lack of a better word, are just, they've got YouTube channels or blogs.
Yep.
And they do a lot of self-promotion. Do you notice that? Like, there are definitely some people I can think of that very heavily promote themselves.
Successfully.
Successfully, right?
Yeah.
And it works.
I wish
That's
Free
the
Talk
thing.
Live was better at it.
Is it a good or a bad thing? I mean, because did the academia...
It's effective, whatever it is.
Sure, because did the academia solve anything? I mean, that's always my argument, is that, look, if libertarianism as it is taught was such a grand idea, it should have already won 50 years ago, with human action or something, or praxeology.
I agree. I think the internet is helping the ideas of liberty reach way more people. What about you, Nathan? Final thoughts?
No, that's I'll have to check out Neo Atlantis. That's interesting.
Cool,
I have
Nathan.
never heard someone challenge all of Western civilization.
I'll be the
Thank you.
first.
Thank you for the call tonight. This is Free Talk Live, the Sunday show. More coming up.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.